Andrew Urquhart with you on the program today, and it gets a bit confusing when you're an international man of mystery such as my next guest, Dr. Craig Heilman. Where in the world is he? What time zone and where on earth has his luggage got to? He joins us on the program, not from Australia today, but from New Zealand. Welcome
Beautiful
home.
New Zealand.
I should have played Dave Dobbin for you in the Welcome Home song.
Oh, mate, that would have been great.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Hey, nice to have you back in the country. I know that it'll be a flying visit, that you're living that trans-Tasman life at the moment. But looking at some of the distinctives, I suppose, how Australians are different than us Kiwis. Surprising news that the opposition in Canberra have decided to go for the nuclear option. We certainly wouldn't do that here in New Zealand.
No, that's it, mate. They've gone nuclear, so to speak, and it feels like they go nuclear every week, but they made a huge announcement yesterday. They've been pushing down this pathway for a while. Look, everybody's screaming about the cost of energy in Australia, the cost of, lighting their homes and heating their pools and whatever else.
Yep.
Albanese promised a $250 or $275 reduction on people's bills. They've all gone up by about $800. So the promise was worthless. And now the opposition, the loyal opposition, has said, hey, we're going nuclear. We're going to pick out 7 places in Australia where there were old coal-fired plants that they're getting rid of. And we're going to put nuclear facilities there. Now, of course, I don't know if they've checked with any of those townships yet themselves as to whether they want a nuclear facility there. So we'll find out. I personally think this is quite a courageous move by the opposition, because this could go down, excuse the pun, this could go down in flames, mate.
Exactly. Well, I mean, to be fair, Craig, you've got the uranium. You don't need to export all of that. And I've something else I've figured out. Why one of the key reasons that the Mad Max films are set in Australia is because the place already looks like it's been nuked.
That's true.
So, hey, maybe this is a win-win. And the interesting thing about this, particularly from a Kiwi point of view, because nuclear-powered electricity, that's fighting talk here in New Zealand, but actually, I suppose in balance, it's better for the environment than coal-fired plants.
Yeah, look, it's arguable, isn't it? Because you've got to get rid of the waste one day. But look, all over Europe, there are countries like France. I think France is about 80% of its power comes from nuclear. It is clean and it's cheap. So the reality is, look, we do have a lot of uranium in the ground, Andrew. If we don't dig it up, it may blow up under us one day. Better to get that into a plant, I reckon.
Exactly. And I don't know how you poor Aussies get on, not knowing how you're going to be able to afford to heat your pool. I mean,
exactly.
So maybe
that's a crisis.
Maybe this will. I don't know whether it's going to be an election winner. We'll wait and see. Hey, a bit of an end of an era in Melbourne, and an interesting response to this one. Apparently, the current Pope, he's anti-Latin. Of course, the Catholic,
and he's from Latin America.
And he is from Latin America. And
Go figure.
I think honestly, the Vatican is about one of the few places in the world that still speaks Latin, although it used to be the dominant language in the known world a couple of thousand years ago. But the last Latin Mass in the Melbourne Cathedral, some people not happy about this.
A lot of people not happy. They had 850 people there this week to celebrate the last one. The priest in charge was somebody called Tattersall. Tattersall is like Tats Lotto here, and it's a gambling thing, so I hope he's not connected. But anyway, there you go. Archbishop Comensoli, who's the Catholic, is not happy either. They don't want to shut down the Latin Mass, but the Pope has made the decision, no more Latin Mass, and so 850 people turned up for the last time.
Wow.
I don't know what we're going to do now. The Latin Mass or the Mass is now going to be in Australian, I guess.
I'd still need a translation, honestly. I'd still need Australian on one side and English on the other. Of course, the other thing that could happen here is, of course, they banned the Latin Mass in the UK back in the Reformation, and you had to have like priest holes to hide your Catholic priest. And I mean, maybe that's going to be happening in Melbourne. They'll just go underground on this one, and they'll have secret Latin masses for the faithful. Having said that, though, I'm not sure I should even say this out loud. There's some people are thinking, wow, this will only last as long as the current Pope once we get a new pope,
Yes.
it'll all go back to Latin again, which I'm not sure is a forward-thinking step necessarily.
And the priest in charge, Mr. Tattersall, or Monsignor Tattersall, or whatever he calls himself, has already said in Arnold Schwarzenegger vein, "Don't worry, we'll be back." The Latin Mass will return once Francis has gone. So there you go. I don't know why Francis doesn't want the Latin Mass, but I guess Francis is a more liberal Catholic, and the truth is those that attend the Latin Mass typically are more conservative.
Yeah, no, and to be fair, of all of the things that need updating about the Catholic Church, of all of the problems that the Catholic Church is facing in terms of connection and dealing with some of the issues that it has, this is the low-hanging fruit, really, isn't it? It's pretty easy to get results on this one, right?
Mate, I'm not touching that one. You're on your own there.
Hey, just wanting to finish with a bit of a serious issue. Now, you and I have talked about this before, the rise of anti-Semitism in Australia. Very disturbing, of course, this in response to what is happening in Gaza at the moment. But yeah, no joking aside on this one, some vandalism. A Jewish Labour MP has been attacked. What's the details? What's the response?
Yes, but look, this is just highlights again, Andrew, how deep down the rabbit hole we've gone in Australia with what you'd call really overt anti-Semitism. And this poor Jewish MP, he's a Labour MP. The Labour Party has been very softly treading in terms of the Muslim communities. They can't afford, you and I talked about this before, they can't afford to lose those inner city seats to the Greens that are often largely Muslim, some of those seats. Nonetheless, there are people vandalising. I mean, the Prime Minister himself has had a protest outside his office for months, and this gentleman's office was vandalised in a really nasty way, and they spray painted all over it that Israel is a genocide nation and whatever. Look, it's just gone too far, but it just shows you how much Australia's changed over the last, say, 20, 30 years. It's a big change, because I don't think you'd have ever seen this kind of overt anti-Semitism that we're seeing in Australia now. So it's very sad.
And I suppose the point here is that you can be an MP that, I suppose, deals with the issues faced by Muslim majority neighbourhoods without being anti-Jewish. Do you know what I mean?
That's correct.
You don't have to pick a side on this one.
Yeah, but I think it's a wedge issue. So a lot of areas that are largely Islamic, they are threatening to run independent candidates. They are threatening to support the Greens. They've got the government in a vice, and that's why the government has found it really hard to be supportive of Israel. I mean, they gave a couple of weasel words at the beginning after October 7th, but pretty much it's been one-way traffic since then, that they have largely been trying to tell Israel what to do, and that typically means shut the war down. Look, I'm all for shutting the war down. I just after what happened on October 7th, it's very hard for a nation state with guns and bombs and tanks not to respond, and consequently they've responded. Can we justify the death of the civilians, etc., in Gaza? Of course we can't. It's horrible. The whole thing's horrible. It's horrible on both sides. But look, the anti-Semitism side of this blowing up in Australia is also very ugly. And, we can't have a nation state like Australia where we're having to take sides based on a war in the Middle East. It's just crazy.
And hey, what is happening in Gaza is absolutely awful, but smashing windows and spraying swastikas on people's walls will not solve that problem. In fact, if anything, make things worse. Hey, Craig, appreciate you being on the program today. Sorry for the confusion with time zones. I know this is
my fault.
This is probably still pretty early for you, but enjoy your time in New Zealand, and we'll catch you again.
God bless, mate. Great to see you, Andrew. Cheers.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.